Hello, everyone. What's going on? Happy Friday. Woo! We are here. And we're ready to go. I can't wait. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
Ugh.
Yeah, I've been off for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Getting my groove on. Now I got to get my groove back. Get into it. I missed it. The opening song was going, and I was like, yeah, I was jamming. Loving it. So happy Friday. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Donna's back.
Yeah.
Donna's also back. She was gone. You were gone for the 1 week, I think.
Probably.
And then I took off the second week.
Because
Well,
you
I
had
took
to
off
come
2
down.
weeks in a
We
row.
were there.
Yeah, I know. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's rough without me.
It is. I can't do shit. The chat room, I fall so far behind. We have a guest tonight. I'm so excited.
Hi, Bob.
We have a guest tonight. I'm excited about it.
John, Mike.
Before we do that, let me say hi to people.
Yeah,
well,
right.
You're already there. We got Craig. We got Donna's in there. We got
Shauna.
Shauna. We got Bob. Damn it, Bob. Diane, John, Susan's in there. John again.
Mike.
Mike, Jay. We got a bunch of people. This is awesome. I love seeing this all. So yeah, we have some rules that we have to go over before we get to our guest. So rule number 1, you are welcome to ask questions. And because we have a guest tonight, I would ask that you wait till the second hour. We usually have the first hour where I talk to the guest. We go back and forth. We have some bar talk going on. And then the second hour is all yours. It's just for you. It's preserved for you guys where you can ask questions. And if you ask questions during the show in the first hour, that's okay. Donna will get them and she'll save them. We'll get to that in a second. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. I mean, I have to put it in there as a disclaimer. I really do know everything. I know what I just choose not to share it with you all the time. But I don't know everything. My guest and most of my guests don't know everything either. So sometimes we might have to say, I don't know. And that's okay. But we have Google. I have my notepad. I have several notepads here.
Yeah.
I have a bigger one today because I take lots of notes. And we can get back to you on that. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here. And then you can be in the chat room. You can discuss. You can debate. You can disagree or agree. Whatever. That's fine. As long as it doesn't devolve into name calling and threats or anything like that. Basically, don't be a dick.
Just be nice.
Be nice. That's it. Be nice until it's time not to be nice. And that's my job. Or actually, it's
No, it's my job.
Because if you're not nice, you boot your ass out of here.
Your ass and you won't be back.
Oh, man. Rule number 4. Yeah, I got it right this time. If you do have a question, please do us a favor. Put a Q in front of it. That helps Donna pick them out from all the debating and discussing and jokes. And
Go back and forth, right?
Go back and forth all night long. And then we can save them. In the second hour, we can just plow through them. And the 5th rule is my favorite. Rule number 5 is drink up. Oh, that tastes good. If you haven't noticed, yes, I have my Wawa tea. I'm very happy about that because that's the shit. Apparently, it smells. Donna's like, oh
Every
my God.
time you
so
open it,
strong.
whatever juice or whatever
know.
you put in there, it's strong, man.
Yeah, that's the way we like it.
Damn.
All right, let me put up my special guest thing and then bring in
Adrian Hill's here.
Brian Dunning.
Hi,
What's
Brian.
up?
Hi! Yay!
Hello. Yeah, that was enthusiastic. Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Oh, it's
Brian
good
has
to
to
have you
catch
back.
up.
Look,
Carolyn's here.
see, there was a memo that went out apparently
I didn't
for
get
the
it.
uniform, and that's why we
Yes.
twinsies today.
We're gonna do a little synchronized dance later for you.
Well, yeah, I got my swim cap, and anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
Wow.
so Brian's on tonight because we're going to talk about this movie that I heard about, the UFO movie They Don't Want You to See, and I'm curious about it. I'm very curious because I've heard a bunch of things about it. I've been following along. I get the newsletters, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to see when I see this movie. So I'm anxious to talk about it and get insight and ask you some questions and maybe some weird questions that you can't answer, or maybe you can. I don't know. We'll see. But
All right.
the first thing I do want to ask you is that you brought up something before the show, and it allegedly has this interesting story that goes along with it.
Yes.
So I want to start off fresh because it's the beginning of the show, and you have to you
Brian's
need to
trying to
catch
catch
up.
up.
Very important. Yes.
So
So
let's get into that.
this pertains to Rule 5, the
Well-
drink up rule.
Drink up.
So I selected something that has a good story, and that is this bottle here of Shackleton Scotch.
Ooh,
Shackleton.
Now, we all know Sir Ernest Shackleton, not socially, but we all know who he is or was. And of course, he was famous for one of his voyages to the Antarctic, where they got shipwrecked. The guys were ashore on the ice for something like 2 years. And they finally put some people in a rowboat and went really far to another island, crossed the island on foot, found a whaling camp, and were eventually able to sail back with the ship and rescue the rest of the guys. The amazing story. Nobody died at all. But this was one of, I think, 3 expeditions to Antarctica that he made. And on one of his earlier voyages, which was fortunately not as eventful, they had commissioned some whiskey be made for the voyage,
Oh,
which came from this distillery called McKinley's.
ooh,
You see in the
Nice.
middle of the label
yes,
there.
yes.
And then not too long ago, within the last decade, I don't remember exactly when, his camp was excavated by archaeologists. And under the ice, they found 3 untouched cases of that
No.
McKinley's whiskey from
Wow.
over 100 years ago.
Wow.
So it all went to some museum in New Zealand. And I believe they auctioned some of it off for probably the highest prices whiskey has ever
Right.
gone for. And then this particular, the people who make this bottle, they got permission to do a sample. They put a needle through the cork of
Oh,
one
wow.
of the bottles that's still at the museum, and were able to try and analyze it. They also did documentary research to find out all they could about the original whiskey, who made it, what distilleries were involved. It was a blend. And so using all of this data, they went back and tried to recreate the whiskey as best they could. And you can buy this now, and it's quite reasonably priced, and it's not bad. It punches above its weight. So you can have Shackleton's actual whiskey from
Nice.
Antarctica.
Wow.
So I'm now going to open this one,
Oh,
Yay.
because this is a profound. Oh, that's a good
Oh.
sound.
That's good.
Whew.
I love when they pop.
Wow.
That's nice. I love
This
it.
is-
Oh, yeah.
How's that smelling?
Oh, you hear a little bit.
Cheers.
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 Clink.
Think. Mm. I love it. Drink up, Brian. That's right.
It's a Highland whiskey, but it's got some peat to it, almost like an Isla, and no bite at all, which is very
No,
good quality.
Yeah, that's good.
Super nice.
That's good.
Rich, complex.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
We're just going to talk about drinking all night. We're going to talk about alcohol.
I have water tonight.
Donna's not partaking in the bar.
Somebody
bar
has
fare.
to get us
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, because we have such a long journey home across the parking lot. Anyway, so you have a movie. You have a movie
do.
coming out. You do. And it's about UFOs, I think. So what's it, the title alone? Tell us about this movie. So just jump
So-
right in. What is
so
it?
yeah, obviously the title jumps out first because
Yes.
it's such a funky title. I mean, it's like it sounds like a joke title, like it'd be found on the conspiracy pages of the internet,
Mhm.
and it doesn't sound like a serious movie. So, and the reason this title came about is because we had a bunch of serious titles for it, and I started like workshopping them, and I had trusted groups of friends and larger groups of friends, and I would ask some people what they thought, and we'd refine down the list of titles. And at some point in this process, someone suggested this title as a joke, and just for the hell of it, as a joke, I added it to the list, and it overwhelmingly won, and it overwhelmingly won every survey thereafter, and even with some serious comments like, the thing about that title is that it's the one we're still talking about and joking about and repeating.
Right.
And that has a lot of value when you're trying to get an independent film out there. Having a title that people will think about and talk about and remember is
Right.
important. And
Yeah.
so don't be swayed by the title to think that it gives an indication of the movie being goofy or silly in some way. Hopefully the title's just to get people to watch. It's not about Zach.
Oh,
In fact, that's a good point. It's not really about anyone in particular. This is not a movie where we're really attacking any people who are promoting UFOs or being skeptical of UFOs. This is, in fact, we mentioned very few people by name, and mostly the guests who were in the film, the guest experts and people who were involved with some of these stories. We do talk about a few stories, but not in a debunking sense, from the sense of using these stories as examples for how do we go about collecting reliable evidence, and why is it important to reject the bad evidence, and how do we tell one from the other.
okay.
So the whole point of the movie is to help anyone who watches it, whatever their feeling is on UFOs, to better inform their opinion with real science. Not only the astrophysics involved and the exobiology involved, but also the nature of evidence and how can we go about collecting better evidence and rejecting worse evidence.
Right. So I agree with you when you're talking about the title. I mean, it's I saw some of the I don't know if we call them surveys, but when you sent requests out for,
Yeah,
hey,
I think
give us
you
a
were in
title.
on some of those.
Yeah, I was in and I saw them and I was like, I laughed. I thought it was funny. And then the next thing I know, it was like, that's the name of the movie. And I'm like, all right, it really does. I mean, it invokes that conspiracy theory idea. Like I hear that, and it's like, oh, the UFO movie, they don't want, and especially when you put "they" in real big, it
I know.
really it promotes that idea, and
It's going to have a side effect too, which is that the people who are of that conspiratorial mindset, if they're browsing through Netflix one day and they see this, they're more likely to watch it.
yeah.
So it may actually have a positive impact of attracting more of the people who need the movie the most.
So
It's true.
without seeing it yet, because I haven't been able to steal a sneak peek yet, but is it? Do you think there might be a backfire there with because of the name of the film, the people that might not usually watch something you put out will watch it. Do you think they're going to have a negative reaction to it, or do you think they're going to embrace it, or see? It's hard for me to ask this question or phrase this question because I haven't seen the film yet. But
yeah, so the answer is no,
okay.
Because this is not a skeptical film that's preaching to the choir and that insults people who believe UFOs are aliens.
Okay.
And a lot of people assume that because I'm involved, that's what kind of movie it's going to be. Those are actually the people that I made the movie for, and that from beginning to end, that I went to the most pains to say, is this something that respects their position and that puts a positive spin on where they're starting from and helps them get to an even better place.
Okay. That's I like that. I like that. It makes sense because I mean, for me, when I write my articles or I do my videos, I don't do them for skeptics. I don't do them for, people that already think or anyone that thinks it's nonsense already. I'm appealing to people that do believe, and I want to make sure they understand that I'm not trying to make fun of them. Hey, we're trying to figure this out together.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly
what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like here. So when you started this, how did you come up with this idea? Like, what was it? Just like sitting around campfire, a couple drinks. You're like, hey, let's make a UFO movie. Why not?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Our mission statement at Skeptoid Media is the log line I like to use is celebrating the stories that brought us to science. What are the urban legends, the famous old stories, the old mystical beliefs? What are these things that were so many of us were interested in when we were children, reading the books and everything and watching all the TV shows and the movies that eventually led us to the science field? So it's celebrating those stories. And we're all about critical thinking and science literacy. The more people can better understand the way the world really is, the more likely we are to make good life decisions, right? I mean, that's the basic thing that motivates all of us who are in this field, I think.
Right.
It's very much a public service type of thing. So we were between movies at Skeptoid, and I had one that we were going to produce, and we did a little bit of pre-production, talked to some people who were going to be involved, and I decided to scrap it. I didn't feel it was going to be strong enough. once we got into it a little bit. So I was back at square one, and I'm going, okay, what should I make a movie about? Well, the answer to that is what's going to help sell itself, because it's something that's already in the news media right now.
Right.
What is it that people are actively talking about and thinking about? And when they start having UFO sessions in Congress about every 3 weeks now,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's saying this is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. From the perspective of people who are hearing about this and are worried about it, from the perspective of people who are hearing about it and say, oh, the government is hiding stuff from us, or they're thinking, oh, we're about to get everything disclosed, or even the people who are very skeptical and are saying, oh my God, tearing out their hair, how can these intelligent people be wasting their time on this nonsense? So for all of those people who want a better answer to why is Congress talking about this stuff and what's going to happen with it, I decided that this was the topic that we should focus on. That's right straight down the middle of our mission statement, and it's going to be fun to do, quite frankly. And I know a lot of people involved who are connected to some of these stories at some level, and so it was really easy to put together. So that's why I made a UFO movie. It could have just as easily been a Bigfoot movie if Congress was talking about Bigfoot right now.
Bigfoot.
There you
And
go.
who knows, the way Congress is going, they might be next year. So we
Right.
might do that next.
I like how you started it off by saying it's celebrating the stories that brought us to science, because that's exactly what brought me to science. You know, I
Mhm.
love this kind of thing. I grew up with things like In Search of and Unsolved
Yep.
Mysteries, and these were the stories that captivated my attention. Like, they grabbed me and said, "Hey, like, pull me in, tell me about it." And as you describe it, you're not debunking things. You're not trying to explain away anything, except that you're trying to bring the science to this. So what's how do I say this? What's the approach? Like, what are you doing here? Because I thought I saw some clips, like in the trailer. I saw some of the popular clips that have gone around of the UFOs
Yep.
and stuff. So how do they factor into this movie? Are you providing explanations for them, or are you just looking at what could be?
Not so much. We're not really focusing on solving certain stories. Now there are some stories that we talk about. For example, there's two stories in the movie that have been thoroughly debunked already. So no debunking needed, but why it's important to still go through those is because we show the process of how we learned what we know about these things,
Okay.
and gives us the process, the tools that we can use to apply to other news stories that might pop up. So it's not about debunking, it's about understanding. And we also cover one or two famous stories, and we do absolutely have to cover the Navy UFO videos. Now,
Right.
those are stories that if you talk to anyone who's actually an F-18 pilot or has flown, who understands the numbers that are on that screen, they do fall over laughing or tear out their hair saying, oh my God, I cannot believe they're still showing these videos. Because if you understand the numbers that's on those screens, there's absolutely nothing mysterious about those videos. And so we do go through those to show why these are terrible evidence. I'm not saying that there's not other ones out there somewhere we haven't seen yet that are great evidence. There might be. But here's how we use these videos to say, this is not the kind of evidence that we need if we hope to prove our preferred viewpoint that aliens are currently visiting the
Right.
Earth. We need to do better than that. So we do talk about some of these cases in what would appear to be a debunking sense, but we're talking about stories that are already debunked, that didn't need us to come along and throw a wet blanket on anything.
Okay. And have you talked to pilots? Are there any pilots appear in the film?
Two pilots do appear in the film. The one, you can't get current Navy pilots. You can't get anyone who's currently a fighter pilot because they're not authorized to speak in this capacity.
Okay.
I got one former guy, and he elected to pull out of the project because, and for unrelated reasons, it had nothing to do with the content of the film. But it was okay. It really didn't add much, and I also felt a little bit that it was kind of a slap in the face to the people who are very interested in that sort of evidence. I didn't feel it was going to be a positive aspect of the film, and I'm trying to have everything in there be a positive addition.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to feel that the film is attacking them or their viewpoints in any way.
Right. That's hard.
Nice. Yeah, that's hard to do, right? I mean,
It is. It is.
Yeah.
This is the fourth movie that I'll have made, and it's taken this long to get to a point where I'm starting to learn to do it better.
when you when you sit down, how many times do you go over a script? Like, do you write out what you want to say, and then you'll look at it and go, I don't know if I should say that, or do you like go off script? Because like for me, whenever I do a video, and I don't do like full production stuff like you do, I do very basic, duct tape together videos. But I don't write a script. I have like an outline, or just the thing says talk about this, and I just talk. And then I wait until I start editing and realize, like, I really shouldn't have said that. I gotta shoot this again. I mean, have you had situations like that?
Well, no, it was all. I was very happy with the script before we shot anything. I made sure of that. And you start with an outline. What's the basic premise, the points that you're trying to make? How are we going to make them? What are the best ways to make these points that are going to be cinematic, that are going to play well on camera, and make it a good, fun movie to watch? You always have to keep that in consideration. And since there's so much content in this that consists of interviews and experts who are talking about some of these things, how do you write that? And how do you write that in a way that meshes with the rest of the script? So what I would do is I would write kind of temporary text for them. Here's the kinds of things I'm hoping that they'll say. And I incorporate that into the script. Then when you actually shoot them, you get it transcribed, and you choose the right lines and everything from them, and you get them their exact text, and then you can write around that. So my narration is the very last thing that was shot, because we had to do all of the other shooting first and get everything else onto the timeline. So I had plenty of opportunity to write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and make sure everything was just great. And the one thing that's now the case, because I've watched this thing 100 times, because we're going through all these QC repetitions right now, QC on the color, QC on the sound mix, and it's still to this point, there's not a single moment in the film where I say, oh my God, I wish I'd said that better. Oh, I should have done. Oh, that came out bad. There's not a single one of those.
Wow.
And for all the other movies I've done, it's been full of those. So,
well, it is a
I'm
learning
super happy.
process, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly doing it. I was filming today, and I think I did the same take maybe 6 or 7 times, because I would start talking and then go off what I wanted to talk about, and then either trail off where I was like, I don't know where I'm going with this, or you get those moments where I just say the wrong word. I don't know why, just the wrong word comes out of my mouth, and then I end up just cursing myself out for like 5 minutes. I mean, it's really good bloopers reel.
Yeah,
I mean, really, one of these days I have to put one together. But
do you want to tell us what you were filming?
Well, so I was doing a segment. I'm trying to do a video on the Brown Lady of Raymond Hall, which is arguably one of the most famous ghost photographs ever. And it's been explained a bunch of times, but I've never seen someone go through the process of how the photo was actually taken, or or they recreate how we think the photo was taken. So I have a 1905 camera that I recently purchased that takes plate or film photography. It's got the ground glass focusing plate on the back. So I'm trying to explain the process based on the original article, and I'm going through it. And as I'm doing it, I'm either forgetting terms, or I know exactly what I want to say, but it doesn't come out. It gets stuck like here, and I just start cursing. Plus, I have at least two cameras on me all the time, plus my lapel mic, and I'm trying. Like, I was underneath the focusing the cloth, and I'm trying to get the camera looking at the ground glass in such a way, because you can't see the whole thing, and it's messing up, and I'm dropping the camera, and you hear me. I dropped like 17 F-bombs within like 5 seconds, because I'm like, God damn fucking camera.
I
So,
hope you're leaving those in.
no,
Oh.
I don't. I mean, I used to, but I don't anymore. I try to make it as more like family friendly because I really want. I mean, some of my audience happen to be younger and kids that watch this because they see the photos and they're interested in it. They're like, oh, I know this ghost. I've seen it on a book, you know, and I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands. But they see it in a book or in a magazine and they're interested. And I want parents to be able to show them, hey, like this is a video that explains a lot, goes through the process. Like I don't just tell you this is what I think happened. I'm going to show you. And I went through the whole process, photographing things, everything on film, just the way that they would have done it back then. Processing, I developed everything myself. I processed the film and combine. I did things. I'm not going to give away everything I did yet, but I did everything analog, no digital technology whatsoever, because I wanted to keep within the time. And I think that's a better way to do it: to show and demonstrate rather than just preach to you. I want you to see how I did it and how I came to the conclusion.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. Well, I also processed all the film in the UFO movie myself.
Yeah, because there was none.
that's
right?
good. That's good. That's good. So you mentioned experts, and
Yes.
I saw like you have like defense and astrophysics and stuff. So who are some of the people that you talk to that you can tell us about? I know you
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
think.
do everything, but
Well, there's not that many. I think there's 9 or 10 people. 9 or I think. Um, we've got. I wanted an air traffic controller. Um, uh, Mick West, who I think everyone here probably knows,
yes,
is there talking about the Navy videos, and a few other things. Yeah, and these are people that I knew. Mick actually introduced me to the air traffic controller,
oh cool,
and I needed a flight instructor, and I just happened to have a really good friend who is like absolutely the guy for that. And so I
Perfect.
went to Washington D.C. and we flew around D.C. and he did his bit up in the air when I nearly got airsick.
Nice.
And you can totally tell in the movie too. I just look green. Um, we got. I needed I needed someone who was an expert on Minuteman II missiles, and closest I was able to get was a Minuteman III guy. But he still knew all of the stuff and he knew all of the stories and was able to speak with a great deal of expertise to that. And he was also someone that I happen to know, and that was Hal Bidlack, as probably many of others here on watching this probably know him as well. So that was a fantastic stroke of luck. I needed an astrobiologist. I needed an astrophysicist, and I
Wow.
got those from recommendations from other astrophysicists that I work with. Since whenever I had someone that I didn't already know and was trying to get someone, I was looking for someone who was big on social media or up and coming on social media,
okay,
or otherwise would be useful for promoting the movie. So
Wow.
I got a great astrophysicist who is really big on TikTok and he's exploding. And then I've got the astrobiologist, and there was actually a second astrobiologist working at the telescope at the time, so I threw him in the movie too. Um, and she is someone who's got a book coming out called Life in Seven Numbers, which is about the Drake equation.
ooh,
And she was a wonderful addition to the film. So it's got a lot going for it. Who else? I know I'm skipping a couple of people here. Well, of course, we talk about the Jimmy Carter UFO,
okay,
and so Jimmy Carter's grandson, Josh Carter, was in the movie with me, as well as the retired Georgia Tech professor who solved that case.
ooh, cool.
I mean, we talk about that process, and that's a really fun little detective story. So
So,
yeah, lots of
like
good people.
you mentioned, you have a air traffic controller and a flight instructor, and those those stand out to me. Not ones that I would think like, oh, we're doing a movie about UFOs and maybe the science behind it, or if or if they're real. That's not what I would think. So why those two? Why those two professions? What can they
So
contribute?
the flight instructor, one of the biggest problems that we have in ufology is there is a small but vocal group of generally UFO believers who believe that UFOs are aliens, who still repeat the trope that pilots cannot be mistaken. Pilots are sky gods. They understand anything in the sky perfectly. They are not susceptible to optical illusions. They are able to judge the distance of a dot, the size and distance and speed of a single dot without any triangulating data. And this perspective is one that is repeated so often. Trained pilots are trained observers, all of these things that are absolutely false. And so I needed some people who had the expertise to declare that those are absolutely false. Here's the kind of mistakes that Navy pilots make all the time. Here's the kind of mistakes that all pilots make all the time. The flight instructor is there to talk about, here's the things that we teach pilots, and here's the things that we can't teach anyone because that's not something the human mind and eye can discern.
Right.
So we do cover a lot of important ground with those guys.
I think that's excellent. I mean, those are two professions I would just like. As soon as you said them, I was like, well, duh. Yeah, absolutely you would want that. But I probably would not have thought of that beforehand. I think that's great. I'm so excited about this film. I can't wait. The more you talk about it, the more enthusiastic I get, and I want to see it because I want to hear what they have to say. So when you have an astrobiologist, or you said you had two, a physicist, those are for what? Are we talking now? Like, because I know you mentioned in the trailer, and I think in one of your clips here, and anytime you want to put up a clip, let me know, and we can pop it up. But you start talking about, can life out there, if it exists, can it visit us, or can we visit them?
Well, the first thing I wanted to establish in the film, and this is where we spend most of the first part of the film, is with the fact that it is very probable that there is life, and in fact, lots of life out there. So this whole idea of alien visitation is not insane, and it's not something that should or could or can be debunked, because it is very probable that there are aliens out there. And we even go so far as to say, we don't know the chances, but it is absolutely scientifically plausible that alien astrobiologists out there somewhere have seen the Earth and have noticed the Earth's signatures. The Earth has had biosignatures for billions of years. We've had technosignatures for 100 years. So it's not likely that anyone's seen our technosignature, but it's very likely that they've seen our amazing biosignature. And so this is some of the things that our astrobiologists talk about is what is it about the Earth that makes us an incredibly enticing target? If we look at the number of, we've all talked about the numbers of, billions of stars, billions of planets, billions of galaxies, and, you run through the numbers in the Drake equation if you want, but it's very probable that there are civilizations out there. And here's the kind of thing that they would be looking for based on these universal constants, these kind of biosignatures and technosignatures on other planets. Here's where we are on our ability to detect those on other planets. We're not there yet, but we're very close. With our next generation of space telescopes after James Webb, we will almost certainly be able to detect biosignatures. And it's very probable that by the end of the century, we will be able to say, there's a planet, and we now have proof that there's life on that planet. That's crazy and amazing. And once you establish these things up front in the film, then everything else we talk about is within the context of, hey, yes, there probably are aliens looking at us and interested in us. So when we analyze these UFO cases, it's not simply debunking anymore. Now we've got a much, much more interesting problem is, hey, could this possibly be a visit from these guys?
It's nice because that's your common ground.
Yes,
right
the common ground is essential because one thing everyone hopes for, no matter who you are, we all hope to meet our neighbors. That would be there's not a single person on the planet that wouldn't love to meet our neighbors. Well, there are some people who believe that any aliens are likely to be destructive and are going to come and blow us up. They probably don't want to.
I have a question.
We touched on that briefly, but
okay. Hey, I want my lightsaber. I want my Millennium Falcon. I want my X-wing. That's all I care about.
That's a lot
So
of crap.
whatever we have to do, what?
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a tall order.
That's only 3 things. I don't think it's a big deal.
For what?
For me, I want my lightsaber.
Well, you have some of them.
Yeah, but I want a real one.
Oh, they're not going to give you that. It's like a weapon.
Yeah, they
you
will.
can't just walk around.
No, it's novelty.
Burning people's arms off and
look,
shit.
You know, just give me a training one. That's fine.
You have training ones now.
I know. No.
I don't know where you're going.
They're toys. I want a training one, and I want a spaceship.
Brian wanted to.
Hey, Brian, what's up? Excellent point. As a retired naval flight officer, I agree that we and our pilots and aircrew were trained observers, but we were not perfect and quite a few mistakes, misidentifications, etc. Are made all the time, especially over the open ocean, where I earned most of my flight and recon hours. Yeah.
I will point out that Mr. Engler is one of the executive producers on the film. So take everything he says with a grain of salt. He's got an interest in this.
That's great. I'll be seeing him in a little over a week. He's going to be flying out here, I believe, to Buffalo. We're going to be hanging out a little bit. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't get to see him too often. So that's nice. So I really like that. I really like that idea that you have these pilots on, because I hear that the description or term trained observer so many times. Like anytime we're, especially not necessarily like with ghosts, but with Bigfoot or other cryptid sightings. You know, people say, I've seen Bigfoot, or this report of Bigfoot was from a police officer. And I say, well, you know, they're still human. They still make mistakes. You know, they could have misidentified something. But the response is always, well, they're a trained observer. They know what to look for. They know what they're looking at. There's no way they can make a mistake. So
I'll spoil it. I'll give you one little spoiler right now. That any pilot will tell you this. When they're seeing things, when they're looking for things, and pilots are always looking. They're always looking out the window visually. They've got the TCAS, the instrument that tells them are there other instrumented aircraft that might possibly be on a collision course with them. But they're also using their eyes all the time. They are looking 99%, am I going to hit something? And 1%, what is that? They don't care what it is. They care that they're not going to hit it and run into it and have a crash.
Right.
That's true.
That's when you say a trained observer, that's what it means. They're looking for things not to hit. Birds, balloons, UFOs, whatever it is.
Right. It's kind of like when you're driving on the highway.
You're looking, making sure you don't hit things. That's So you mentioned, I don't know if you can speak further on this, but you mentioned about our biosignature has been out there for a long time, and our techno signature has been out there for about 100 or so years. And why? Like I understand why, but for everyone else that's watching that may not understand this, why would they see our bio signature and not our techno signature? What's the issue there?
Well, of course, the spectroscopic image of Earth, which is what you would see with a telescope, you would be able to put it through a spectrograph, and you would see what chemicals are in our atmosphere and what chemicals the planet is absorbing and what chemicals it's radiating back out. That is proceeding outward from the Earth at the speed of light. So if we've had a techno signature, basically smog, some other things too, but basically smog, that would be no one who's outside of 100 light years away yet has seen that yet on the Earth. If they're closer, then they would have been able to see it. And of course, they would have had to have the right kind of telescope, a very powerful telescope trained on the Earth and checking us out.
Yeah, cool. All right, so when is travel possible? Are we ever? Do you know, by talking to these experts that you have in this film, and do you address this in the film? Are we going to be able to visit other planets and get out, like we see in sci-fi movies?
So that's what we spend the last part of the film on.
Okay.
When and if, I say when, it's really an if, obviously. When and if we do somehow become part of some sort of interstellar community, whether that's a message every 500 years that's, a little brief crackle in a radio, or whether it's, banquets with with 100 aliens at the White House, whatever form that community might take, how is it actually most likely to happen? And we talk about what's the ideal way to do it. How is that possible? What are the difficulties involved? What is a better way to do it that avoids some of those difficulties? What's an even better way to do it that avoids most of the remaining difficulties? So there are ways to do it, and we do talk about that in the film.
Okay.
And I know some people are going to bring up the Alcubierre drive, but no, we don't go into that. Because...
I mean, we should just be able to load in some dilithium crystals and and go. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. Although I'm not a Star Trek fan. I mean, I am a Star Trek fan, but I am not.
Yeah, you're not right. I know.
Yeah,
Never heard of Star Trek.
Yeah. I like in the one clip that we have. You know what? Can I play a clip? Is it all right if I play a clip for you? All right. Let me see if I set this up right. I'm going.
And I should just point out, any clip that he might show is something that's on the website, on the UFO.movie is the website, and there's like a production blog that details the steps that I've been going through, and most of these clips are on that page.
I think I can actually put this up. Oh, wait, there we go. There's the website for that. Let me make sure I got this right.
That gets you there too.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let me share this, because this is actually pretty cool, and I have some questions that I want to go into this for. All right. So I'm gonna take off my banner here, just so everyone see full screen. Ooh, there we go. Oh, did I do it right? Hold on a second. Oh, technical difficulties. Hold on.
Watch the viewer count just drop.
I know, right?
No,
Go on.
right?
You don't know what he's doing.
Okay. Hopefully everyone hears it. Let me know if you hear this.
I hear it.
No?
I don't hear it.
All right. Hold on. Let me fix this.
Technical difficulties.
Darn it. Oh, wait. Maybe I can do that way. Share audio, tab audio. There we go. This should be better.
Often it was with a sword.
All right, here we go.
On Earth, only a few centuries ago, everything was so far apart. People hadn't even heard of most other places, let alone been able to visit them. And when they did, just as often it was with a sword as it was with bread. But today, we not only have jet planes, we have the internet linking us all into a single community in real time. Anyone can go online and see and speak to a human on the other side of the planet. Will we repeat this model with other peoples in the universe? It's a possibility, but most people in the history of Earth have lived their lives and died within just a few miles of the village where they were born. Physics tells us that this is probably the fate of most intelligent civilizations. We don't have the power to break the laws of physics, but we do have the power to keep our porch light on and our welcome mat spread out. So keep listening, keep sending, keep hoping, and keep watching. If we can do that, our chances of eventually becoming part of an interstellar community of some kind are fair. Friends we haven't met yet are probably out there. Some might well have their eye on us. It might be 10,000 years from now, or it might be tomorrow. But that signal full of data could come anytime. I'm Brian Dunning. Thank you for watching.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And obviously that's the very end of the film, and then it goes to the credits.
Okay. So I guess from that, there was a lot of things that really struck me. I haven't heard, when it comes to UFOs and possible alien communication or first contact, if you want to keep going with the Star Trek references, I've never thought about the idea of, most people spend their entire lives only a few miles from where they were born. And that concept just, I don't know why I'm dwelling on it, but it just hit me like, wow, that's really, That's really cool.
Yeah. And the analogy, the reason I bring that up is because that's probably how most intelligent civilizations are going to be. You know, we've buzzed around the Earth and the Moon a little bit, but we've done the interstellar equivalent of spending our whole lives within a few miles of where we were born.
Right.
Will we be ever able to reach out? You know, look at all of the history of human civilization, and it's really only in the last century that people have had the, 150 years maybe, that people have had the ability to travel any meaningful distance from their home.
Right.
And that's likely, I think, to be a fairly good model for how life in the universe is going to be. Very few will get to that point where they might find a way to spread their wings far enough.
Right.
And we talk about how they might and why it's difficult. It's a good analogy, I think.
It is. It really is. It really makes you think. I mean, because I think about myself now, and like both of us, we were born, raised in Philadelphia, and just moved. Like we just moved, only like 6 hours away, but it's still a big move, and it's not something that most people do. Most people that I know, it's very rare that happens. And then thinking that on a planetary, a solar system, a galactic scale, and I hope that when the day comes, and apparently according to Star Trek lore, it happens on my birthday. Our first warp drive test happens, and the Vulcans take notice of us, and it's on April 5th. That's my birthday.
What year?
Congratulations.
It's coming up soon.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's coming up soon because somebody posted something about it. I have to look. I have to find out what it is.
Yeah, we had
but I think once we have
April 5th is coming up soon.
the year that it actually happened. Now I got to look it up because God damn it, you people.
Hey, if you're going to talk about it, you should know.
First warp drive test.
Bob says 2024.
Star Trek. Let's see. The Phoenix was the first thing. 21st.
Is that from Cochrane, right?
Yeah. I think, right?
Daniel says 2063.
2063. I'm trying. Yeah.
Anybody know the answer? Throw it in the comments.
Kenny
can't find it.
I can't find it. I'm not going to waste time. I'm not going to. Oh, wait. On April 5th, around 11 a.m., the Phoenix was launched. Doesn't say
11 a.m.
We all tuned in to watch you Google, Kenny.
Right?
That's right.
I know.
That's right. All right, never mind.
Now you froze, Brian.
Now I'm getting called out. I'm getting called
Somebody
out.
will figure
All
it
right.
out.
So the other thing in this video clip that caught my attention, and granted, I am a big sci-fi nerd.
No.
So shut up. A big sci-fi nerd, and you mentioned like we can keep our porch light on and we can keep our welcome mat out. Like, is that a good idea? What are your thoughts, your personal thoughts on this?
Yeah, the people have suggested that aliens are likely to be hostile, and I remember this is something that Stephen Hawking said in one of his final years, and of course was clarified. No, I didn't mean that any aliens that might exist are certainly going to come and destroy the Earth immediately, but that's kind of how it was taken. But it is certainly a valid perspective and a valid philosophy. It's also possible that some aliens will be sociable and want to jump out on the White House lawn and say hello. It's also possible that some aliens will want to just stay up there and look down at us in secret, like they're in a duck blind and study us. So which are they going to be? Well, we don't know. If there's a lot of civilizations out there, there's probably a lot of different philosophies out there for how they would do it. I think that if we were to do it, I think we would be of the sociable kind. We would make every effort to make some kind of contact with them. We certainly wouldn't go and try and destroy their planet, carpet bomb them with nukes. Right. And I think that there's other civilizations out there who are not likely to want to carpet bomb with nukes. 2063, you're right. That's just around the corner.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary?
I'll be there.
We'll be talking about it.
We do know two things for a fact. We have not been visited by anyone who's destructive, who came to destroy us. And we have not been visited by anyone who is sociable, who jumped out on the White House lawn to say hello.
Okay.
So that's
That's
a we
good point.
talk about this in the film, that we have not been visited by either of these two major categories. Those are probably between the two of them, and especially between including the sociable aliens, that probably includes most potential aliens.
Right.
And then there's the ones who would be the duck blind kind. We know we have not been visited by either of those. So what does that say about the chances that we've been visited at all? I think it reduces them.
Yeah.
But even though we can say we've almost certainly not been visited by any aliens, that says nothing about whether we might be visited tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you have a good point. I mean, it almost sounds like two extremes, but I don't think it is. Like either they're coming here to like if we go like the route of Independence Day, or maybe like I grew up with V. My first UFO was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So they played music. That was basically it. Returned a whole bunch of people. It was like, cool, you know, all right, these are good people. I like this. Then next came V, the miniseries. And that was like horrible because they wanted to eat us. Where they were lizard people. They didn't actually want to eat us. They were eating, like they were stealing our water, I think, and then also eating all of our like rodents, which was okay, except for the poor gerbil that we saw eaten in one episode. So when I think about that, it's like these are kind of the extremes. They're either coming for our resources, which I don't understand why. Like for me, like a hostile alien race that would come here for what? Like, what are you gonna do? How much can you actually bring?
Yeah, you can't like take water.
And you come here all this way to what?
I've never bought the natural resources argument.
Yeah.
We do believe that most solar systems that have, you know, rocky planets are going to have asteroid belts, and there is so much material out in the asteroid belts, more than we could ever hope to use in, you know, a billion-year run of the human race. So I don't really believe that it would ever make sense to do interstellar travel, to haul back a load full of you know, unobtainium,
to steal some shit from your neighbor.
But of course, I mean, this is personal opinion, and
right. Yeah. I mean, it was just interesting because in the beginning of that clip, you mentioned something about how visiting more than a few miles wasn't really done unless you were going there to pretty much either conquer or make friends. Because you make a mention about like you could do it with a sword just as well as you could do with bread. So that got me thinking, like, all right, you know, that's why should we like put a signal out to invite an alien race to come here that could potentially wipe us out? Because if they can get here, obviously their technology is far beyond what we can do. Is that
right now
kind of correct?
Kind of correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
we're getting into more sci-fi here.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, we're getting off topic here. So some of the other experts that you have, you mentioned like an astrobiologist, a physicist. What are you talking to them about? Are you talking more about like the science behind possible traveling between planets, or what? What are they there for?
Basically, the problems about interstellar travel and the questions. I try to address most of the questions that I hear most often. And among these questions is, hey, just because the laws of physics are the same here, that doesn't mean they're the same laws of physics way out there in the galaxy. And we do have very solid answers for that. How do we know? What do we know, and how do we know it? That how do we know it is the important part. And so we cover how do we know that the laws of physics are the same everywhere in the universe, because we do have proof of that. And how do we know that the laws of physics today are the same as they were 10 billion years ago? Because we also have proof of that. And so it's that how do we know that's the really interesting part. Because a lot of people on the street, if you ask them, how is it that we were able to prove that the laws of physics are the same now as 5 billion years ago? Most people on the street are not going to have an answer to that. Well, you will after you watch this movie.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Well, be
I
smart.
like that. Yeah, we're going to be smarter. I like a film that makes me smarter. I like that because I watch too many that make me dumber.
He
So
does.
I really do. Late at night and stuff like that. I'm like, whoa. But Monty Python, it's funny. I like it. Oh my goodness. I had a question and I totally forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh my goodness.
Bob's all excited.
oh,
He cannot wait.
I cannot wait to see this film. Aliens, more so than Ghosts, has been an interest of mine since I was a kid. Me
Yeah,
too.
well, aliens are probably real, and ghosts probably aren't. So not only is it a better interest to have, I think, but it's an interest more likely to bear fruit.
Right. So you did mention that this is more for it's not geared towards skeptics. This film was not made for preaching to the choir.
It is not a preaching to the choir film for the skeptics to say, "Yeah, we were right, and the
Right.
UFO not so crazy."
But am I still going to enjoy it?
No.
It is.
Don't screw with the guests like that.
Sorry, Brian.
He's trying to promote the film.
I got a lot of the best experts I could find on a lot of these subjects to give us their best sound bites for how we can better understand these issues. I learned a lot from these people, and every skeptic that I know is going to learn something new from these people. Oh, that's a really interesting way to think about it. I hadn't considered that before. So there's a lot in this movie that I think everyone is going to take a lot from.
Good. I like that. All right, we're good. We're almost at our time for our pee break. So I think we're going to do it because we got a bunch of questions that are piling up.
Okay. Fantastic.
So let's take our pee break. It's going to be about 4 minutes or so.
4 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It's 4 minutes
Good, I
and
get to
11
walk.
seconds. It's pretty good.
I'm gonna take a walk.
It makes sure that everything
Yeah.
gets done.
Good.
So we're gonna take our break. We're gonna come back in about 4 minutes. We're gonna have your questions. This is your time. So if you have questions, put them in the chat room now.
Put a cue.
Put a Q in front of it, because if you don't and we miss it, it's not our fault. It's yours.
Right.
But we'll be back in a couple minutes with Brian Dunning, and we're going to be talking about the UFO movie they don't want you to see, which I can't wait to see. All right, we'll be back in 4 minutes from now.
Boom.
some.
Just it figures. It figures. You know, we go to pee break. We have 4 minutes, and boom, he's not even back
Hi,
yet.
Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, he's got to put his headphones in.
Oh, he can't
He's got
hear
to put his
us.
headphones. He can't hear us yet. Yep. There he goes. There he is.
He's been abducted.
That's it. Aliens came down and abducted him and said, "Hey, we can't have you telling everyone our secrets."
Right.
Took him up.
Welcome back, Brian.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All
Cheers.
right.
Cheers.
So, cheers, my friend. Oh, almost there. I gotta fill up soon.
Was that seriously pure rum, that entire bottle, when we started?
No.
No,
But it
it's
does
just
smell
tea,
like
Brian.
it. It does smell
It's
like
just shh.
Skeptical.
Hey, you should be.
Skeptical. Can you get up and do a few touch your nose?
No, I'm not going to do any tests.
Touch your nose.
No sobriety tests. No,
No.
not going to happen. All right. So we got some questions. I know we got a bunch of questions.
Is that
I think this is the most
I'm
questions
up, I
we've
guess?
had for one person before we actually started asking questions. So,
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Susan
all right,
starts
Susan
us off.
Gerbic. Oh boy, Dunning. Nearly all of the people who follow psychic mediums are females. I've noticed that the people who follow UFOs are mostly male. Same with 9/11, fake moon landing, and flat Earth. You agree or have a theory? Why?
I agree that UFO conferences, judging by pictures and videos, I've never been to one. I've almost gone.
I
But
have.
pictures and video I've seen of old UFO conferences, like, pre-2000s, were almost exclusively old white guys.
Yeah,
The
they
ones
are.
I see today are far more diverse, and the people I interact with on Twitter, I'd say it's 50% women. I would say it's
Oh,
become way more mainstream and not just a closeted thing for creepy old weird guys.
That's what it felt
I
like.
think being mainstream has made it more diverse and more generally representative of the population at large. So no, I don't think that's the
Right.
case anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't even
I
think
don't have
that.
a theory why, by the way. I've been too busy working on the damn movie to develop my theory.
I have
on
a theory.
demographics.
Or I have a hypothesis. I think it's more because I think UFOs go more on the technical side or technology. And I think guys are more technology prone. I think
I
I
have
don't know
one.
if I'm saying that like right.
Women just have way too much shit to do to worry about shit like
See,
that.
You say
Well,
this.
I will tell you one
It's
thing.
safer for you to say
I'm a
this
woman, I
instead of
just said
the old white guy to say this. Go ahead.
One thing I will say on that topic is I recently updated my talk on conspiracy theories that I give. And so I checked in with our friend Joe Yazinski at University of Miami, whose lab has probably more data on surveying conspiracy theorists and demographics of conspiracy ideation worldwide, probably more than any other university in the world. And women are one of the demographic categories where there is a statistically significant difference between the genders, and women are more likely to be conspiracy theorists than men. It's
See?
not a large effect, but it is statistically
Just like
significant.
we
Okay.
believe in psychics and you guys don't.
And the reason for that is basically all of the demographic groups where there is a difference. It's high income or low income, high education, low education, white or black. Other racial groups, no significant difference. It's the people who have gotten the short end of the stick the most and whose conspiratorial fears have been confirmed the most.
Okay.
It is a fact that women have a harder time in the workplace. They have a harder time getting promoted. They have a harder time in many aspects of life. In relationships, they get raped more than guys do. And so it is reasonable for them to conclude bad stuff is more likely to happen than it is for a guy.
Okay.
And so that's the basic reason. It's why it's marginalized groups. The more marginalized the group is, the more likely they are to be a conspiracy theorist.
So I've been to both. I've been to a full range of conferences and the UFO conferences that we went to. I mean, it's been a couple years since we've
It's
been
been a
there.
while since
It's been a while. But it
before
was
COVID.
dominated. It was male dominated.
Oh,
Absolutely
definitely.
male dominated.
I would say like 98%.
Yeah, it was so far dominated. And some of the females that I had seen were associated with more metaphysical topics. Like
Yeah.
the one lady that
dowsing.
screamed at me
Dowsing.
for she was the president of the Dowsing Society.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, one reason I might offer for that is why the women are not present at the conferences is because that's probably not a very welcoming place for a lot of women.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
so why?
Like I wouldn't go
Because
there
there's a
by
ton of creepy
myself.
old guys there.
Okay,
creepy
That's
old
good.
guys.
yeah,
You go to one once, you find that you're a 1 out of 10 minority, you're not likely to go again.
okay.
That's a guess. I don't have any.
Right.
I want to apologize to anyone I might have offended by
No,
that.
I
at these
mean, I
conferences,
think
and I
I
don't.
think
It's just a guess.
that's you know what? Because honestly, Brian, I wouldn't have been to the one if Kenny didn't drag me.
Your mic.
Yeah.
I just noticed your mic is not even close
Oh,
to you.
can you hear me?
There you go. All right.
Oh,
I think he can hear you because he was answering.
yeah. But yeah, like I wouldn't have gone to a UFO conference without you.
Without me, yeah.
Like,
It just
I
wasn't.
just wouldn't.
Not.
and if I
went,
did, like, go to walk in and see a whole room full of men, I would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong room," and I would turn around and graciously just walk away.
And
then
that may
when
be
we
why
went-
I see women more on Twitter in the UFO groups on online because they don't have to go there in person and get
It's
creeped
true.
on by
Yeah.
weirdos.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Because when we went to the psychic fair up here,
yeah,
it was dominated by females. I mean, there was very
Yeah.
few males that we saw, and I would say the very few that we did see, they were selling, they were vendors,
right.
and then the others
We're
were
just like with,
most of them were
Yeah.
like dragged along, like
yeah, like come on, we're going here.
Except for me, of course, because I'm like, oh,
He's
I want to see
dragging
what
me
the shit's
along,
going on.
right?
I want to see what kind of stuff is going on. But yeah, that's interesting. That's something. I wonder if I can keep track of that now and take better observations.
Yeah,
All right. So good question. That was great.
yeah, that was a good question.
Let's
It took
hit
us
another one.
way out there.
I like this kind of stuff.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Now I have to
I especially
get
like
back.
when he talks more than I do.
Here we go.
Oh, where
Where and when will this movie be showing? Obvious question. So right now the movie is in QC. Post-production is basically done, but we're still doing rounds of, here's a weird sound glitch here at this time code. Here's a
Right.
weird color cast at this time code. So we're at the very, very, very end of all these rounds of QC that have taken so much longer than I had scheduled for. So I apologize to everyone out there who's been waiting for the movie. And I know I promised January, and really it should have been January, but it's just that there's been just one issue after another. So as soon as it is available, for anyone to watch, then it's going to go up onto a private server, which gets shown to a bunch of distributors. And I go out and pound the pavement and try and sell it to a distributor. And at the same time, it will be up on a private server where all the people who have donated to the film will be able to watch it for themselves. And they can't download it yet. You won't be able to download it until it's actually available. And that's to minimize the chances of it getting up onto the pirate movie servers.
Right.
But you will be able to watch it. Absolutely be able to watch it. And then depending on the distribution, then we'll have an answer to that question. I will tell you that all of the watch options, whatever they are, will always be at the UFO.movie. So if everyone wants to bookmark that, the UFO.movie, right there on the homepage will be telling you how and where you can watch it. I'm not sure what it says right now. I think it says all you can do is watch the trailer. And there's only one trailer up. There will be more trailers too as soon as the color correction is all done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the place to go for the answer to that question. There's also a mailing list on that website you can put in your email address. That just goes to me personally, and it's a list that I keep personally. It's not a spam thing or anything like that. And you'll be emailed every time there's an update.
And what's the target platforms? Like where do you plan on releasing this?
So, well, that's going to be up to the distributors, but it'll basically be streaming services, unless I get radically lucky and A24 wants to distribute it and it goes into movie theaters. But don't bank on it. It's not Iron Man 5.
Oh, well.
Aw,
Damn
man,
it, Brian!
Come on, I was
Come on
pumped,
now.
man. Don't bring me down. I was
It'll
pumped.
It'll certainly be on Amazon Prime. It'll be on Apple TV and Google Play, kind of all the major ones.
Right.
Netflix is a high mountain to climb. I hope to get it on Netflix.
That would be awesome.
And it'll probably certainly be on ad-supported services like Tubi. The version that'll be free for donors to watch will be on Vimeo, and you'll probably always be able to pay a few bucks and watch it on Vimeo no matter who you are. But basically, the plan on the major streaming services.
Okay. And are you planning on like submitting to film festivals?
Oh, absolutely. That's
okay.
definitely part of it. Yeah, it'll be in a bunch of film festivals.
That's interesting. I've never done that, so I don't know like what the process is. Is that hard? Is that hard to do?
No, it's all done online now. There's services that handle the submissions for you. And, you know, there's a bunch of free ones that are worthless, and there's a bunch of really expensive ones that are worthless. And there's the relevant ones that you can't get into unless you're an industry insider and you get invited, like, you know, Sundance, South by Southwest, Con, and all these things. Yeah, it would never be able to get into those. Those are not open to the general public, even though they're happy to take your money and claim that your movie's in the mix. Anyway, that I have a cynical attitude about that because I've been doing it for a long time.
Brian's never getting into them now. Don't worry, nobody watches this show. You're safe.
Not yet.
You can say almost anything you want. Nobody watches this shit. All right, we got another question.
Yeah.
I cannot remember if you mentioned this profession. Did you mention a meteorologist in your list of people interviewed? Why did you or did you not choose a meteorologist? And I swear, if Kenny steals this question, damn it, Bob, shut up.
You stole his first two questions. Yes, you did.
Well, maybe you should up your game.
No, he was doing good. I mean, you were asking good questions.
I know. Well, that's my show, bitch. I love you, Bob. What do you think? What do you meteorologist?
Setting my devices to stop binging and disturbing me. So, Bob, there is no meteorologist in the film. However, we do talk about that. There's one of the segments of the film where I make my recommendations for who should be on these congressional committees that they're putting together. Okay. There's, you know, they seem to come and go. There's the UAP task force. There was the Navy UAP task force. There's this new one that includes a bunch of random people that there's no reason they should be on it. I think even the Congress has their own UFO task force now. And we talk about, here's some of the people that they have on it, and what are their qualifications, and here's who should be on it. And we talk about that, and Mick has an even better answer.
Okay.
Than having Mick himself be on it. But I will let you wait for the movie to watch what that
is.
Because it's great, and it's probably the best answer in the movie.
Awesome.
So one of the committees that we look at the actual makeup of, they have a meteorologist. And I say in the film that they're in the ballpark with the meteorologist, but what they really need is an astronomer. Neil deGrasse Tyson was kind of famous for saying, why do astronomers never report UFOs? Because we know what the hell we're looking at.
I love that line.
And my astrophysicist in the film happens to say something very similar, so I let him have the fire of saying that. So we talk about who should be on the committee, and besides Mick answers, one of the things that I say is the most important person who should be on there is an NTSB investigator. NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, the people who go out to air crashes and they find out what caused the crash. Was it pilot error? And if so, what caused the pilot to make this error? And because these are the people who are probably more familiar than anyone else on the planet with the kinds of optical illusions and the things that will fool pilots.
Okay.
Make pilots think something is far away when it's close, make them think it's close when it's far away, make them think that it's moving fast when it's not, et cetera, et cetera. So we do spend some time on that in the film. And actually the pilot, the flight instructor that I interviewed in the film, he is now an NTSB investigator, so he can't talk to us anymore. I had to go out and film him early before I was ready to, because he was starting his new job.
Oh, wow.
DC, and he would no longer be able to talk to the media once he started that job. So, but NTSB does put out some information publicly available, and we're able to incorporate some of that into the film.
That's
But,
so cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, Bob, you're exactly right on target with your question.
Awesome. Good job, Bob.
Yay, Bob.
Ignore what I said earlier. All right. What else we got
Hey,
there?
look who's in the
Oh,
chat.
freaking Ben Radford. Jesus. With so many UFO adjacent topics, abductions, conspiracies, Roswell implants, how do you determine the scope of the film?
Length. Yeah, I mean, obviously, all of those could easily have been discussed because all of those topics. Don't disappear that question because I want to see this list.
Okay.
All of those topics are things that some people will say constitute good evidence.
Right.
And a very important thing to do is to discriminate between good evidence and bad evidence. So on each of those cases, conspiracy is a little bit vague, but the concept of alien abductions, do we have any good evidence that it happened? Or do we have really, really crappy evidence that happened? So we can look at the evidence that people hold up as, hey, here's proof that these people were abducted by aliens. And we can say, no, that's not proof. That's terrible evidence. We need better evidence. And here's what's wrong with it. And here's what we need to look for to find the better evidence.
Mm.
So all of those are perfectly valid avenues that we could have gone down. Determining the scope of the film was just what I wrote, what I was able to write in, I forget how many words it was, 3,500 words or something. No, it was a little bit longer than that. I don't remember. It was a lot. It's like 40-something pages of script.
Wow. Okay.
The film runs, I think, hour and 33,
That's pretty
19
good
seconds
time.
and 6 frames.
Hour and 33. That's not bad. That's
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. I like that. I can't wait. I can't wait till it comes out.
We should have a viewing party.
Well, we will, I guess, eventually, but don't worry, we'll get to see it because I contribute.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to see it early. But yeah, maybe. What's the deal with the viewing parties? Like, yeah, will we be able to do that
Once it's released? Yes. Once it's available to the general public, then we can do private showings.
Okay.
For free and everything.
All right.
That would be
And
really
the only
cool
reason
to do here.
The only reason you can't do that before is because there's so many ways that the content can be stolen and put out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
you
wanna
don't.
steal it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just watch it at home a couple times. Be like, oh, this is awesome.
I'll make sure all the curtains are closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ben. That's a great question, and that's absolutely part of the process I had to go through is to narrow it down.
Cool. All right. What else we got there, Donna? Jade Kitten, what's up, girl? Good to see you. Is anyone scared, even just a little bit? Stupid invasion movies.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't part of the process of making this film, but just with the engagement that I do and emails that I get, and people I talk to online, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there is a small group of people who believe that aliens are most likely to be hostile and destructive, and there are people who oppose the SETI projects for that reason.
Right.
SETI is there's the SETI Institute. There's SETI as a general term, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which a lot of places around the world engage in various methods. And then there's the SETI Institute, proper noun, which is a particular place in or around San Jose, which is where Frank Drake's office was of the Drake equation before he passed away, and where Seth Shostak is. I'm not exactly sure what his role is. Chief scientist, something like that, maybe. The SETI Institute is a very broad spectrum research institute. They do their charter is to do research that impacts any of the 7 variables in the Drake equation. So I talked to someone there once. I visited once, and an astronomer there, Frank Marcus. It's French. I don't know how to pronounce it. He took me around, introduced me a bunch of people. I spoke to a woman who was researching whale language.
Wow.
Example, because that impacts one of the variables in the Drake equation. Are the aliens likely to develop ways to communicate? And so that's an example of how they are doing a lot of very legitimate research in a very wide spectrum of fields, because all of it contributes in some way to our understanding of what aliens might be likely to do.
I started laughing, and I want to apologize because as soon as you said, "Well," all I could think about was Star Trek.
Star
The
Trek.
Star Trek movie.
Star Trek 3 or 4,
Yeah.
whichever one that was. That
Yeah.
that one needs to be forgotten.
It
However, it did do us all a huge favor. It killed David.
yeah, that needed. Okay. All right, moving on. Hey, Craig, what's up? Wasn't the title my suggestion? I wasn't joking.
I don't remember. I will take your word for it, Craig. If that was your suggestion, then Craig Good is the one responsible for the title. So everyone, a round of applause for Craig.
Yay!
Thank you very much.
Yay. Congratulations,
Awesome,
Craig.
You get to watch
Good
it
job.
for free. That's all I can do for you. But
We'll let you
thank
know.
you very much.
We'll let you know after. We'll see how the film does.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
If it's a flop, the whole movie is Craig's fault.
Exactly.
There we go. We got a scapegoat right now.
Yeah.
We'll
I got
screen
your
cap
back,
that.
Brian. I
There
got
we
your
go.
back.
Simon Fly. Do life forms all have a life cycle that ends with its own demise? This could apply to other habitable planets, though through technology and wars, disease, pollution, climate changes, etc., etc.
So this is one of the variables in the Drake equation again. And we actually don't go into the Drake equation in the movie. I mean, I very easily could have, and it's right there. It's right on the edge of everything we cover, but we didn't go into it explicitly by name. How long do technological civilizations last? And that is a very important question that we do talk about in the film. It's something that I call the Christmas tree problem. And we could play that clip, Kenny, if you want. In fact, why don't we?
What do we got here?
Can you easily access that list of clips there?
Okay. Yes.
The one that's the Christmas tree problem. Go ahead and punch that up and let's play that. It's only, I think, 70 seconds if I'm
all right. Hold on. Give me a couple seconds here because I got to get past the commercial that comes up. There we go. Okay. So that's ready, and let me share it. Dun, dun. Share screen.
Fire away.
Christmas tree. There we go. And I'll get that. Yeah, I'll get the that out of the way so we can see it all.
It's 116 seconds. I was wrong.
Oh, wait a minute.
From some...
There we go. Can you hear that?
I call this the Christmas tree problem, and it has to do with the time element of communicating with our neighbors.
Do you think there might be a radio greeting from some alien civilization winging its way through space toward us right now?
So there may be greetings from alien civilizations flying all over the place in the universe. The problem is that you have to look at the exact right place at the exact right time to receive it.
It turns out time is just as big a problem as distance. Imagine a Christmas tree with strings of blinking light. Imagine that tree is the universe, and each light, during that brief moment when it's illuminated, is the duration of a technological civilization. From the moment they first develop the capability to interact with other civilizations, to the moment they meet their end. They get hit with a gamma ray burst, or a planet killer asteroid, or a war, or a pandemic, or whatever. Maybe they exist as a technological civilization for 1,000,000 years, or 100 years. And they're sprinkled everywhere throughout the cosmos, an unknowable number of such civilizations. But they don't all exist at the same time. The chances of two Christmas tree lights that are really close together being on at the same time is small. Even if we developed space travel at very close to the speed of light, for two civilizations to have physical contact, they'd have to be extremely close together and at the same time. So it's possible, and it probably happens, it's probably happening somewhere in the universe right now, but the Christmas tree problem makes it much less likely that any technological civilization will ever get to visit a neighbor.
Wow.
And that's a problem that we hate.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell, but I was starting to stutter and slur my speech a little bit because this is the night where I famously got hypothermia.
Oh.
and it was starting to set in, and it was starting to affect my speech at that point.
Wow.
That's go ahead.
An hour from this point is where we had to wrap and abandon the rest of the shoot.
Mm.
Yeah. I remember, you telling that story, and like I felt bad for you. I'm like, damn. And I know you wanted to keep going, but yeah, you can't.
We were so well prepared too, but it just nature was more powerful than we were.
That's a great analogy. Like that really puts it in perspective. Like,
Yeah,
I never thought about it that way. How, because I mean, in the grand scheme of the universe, and yeah, civilizations can come and go in a blink of an eye, a blink of a Christmas light, with how time works. And I mean, you could have these civilizations that develop and maybe a few light years apart, but they're gone before another one starts. I mean, that's amazing. That's damn.
I mean, let's say the human race will exist for 10,000 years or something, some huge number like that. Compare that to 14 billion years, right? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what it does is it just cuts to a tiny fraction the number of potential interactions that we might be able to have.
This is
it's still non-zero though. It's still non-zero.
Right.
It still can happen, but it's seriously cutting in on my whole Star Wars idea of jumping between planets and shit.
Well,
Oh.
jumping.
Yeah,
Maybe you can jump between.
That's what, if you watch Star Wars or Star Trek, every civilization, they all exist at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
And that's not how the universe works.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, I'm not going to get into the science behind Star Wars because it just ruins everything. But yeah, it would be nice if that did happen. Civilizations
wonderful.
Or all at the same
a different
time.
dimension.
It's not, That's, oh man.
But we're trying to focus on the positive because we're not trying to stay hopeful. It's still non-zero.
Wow. That blows my mind. I'm going to be thinking about that all night.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brian. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, it gives them something to do.
I'm not going to sleep tonight because I'm going to be thinking about Christmas lights.
You will be.
All right.
Let's
keep moving. Yep. Jade Kitten, do you talk about how aliens may impact religion at all?
No, I don't. This is a film about the science of basically interaction between civilizations. It does not make any attempts to address the cultural or philosophical impacts of such association. So I leave that to Carl Sagan's Contact, which I think is the best possible dissertation on that subject. So great question, but a very short answer: no.
Okay, good. All right. Squatch Talk. Hey, what's up? What about other elements that could form in a different system?
So you won't have other elements, but you will have other isotopes. And that's really what's important. Elements are, you count the number of protons, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
There's not going to be new ones. We already have that sequence until we get up so high that they're too unstable to exist for any meaningful amount of time. And also it would take too many generations of stars to build elements that are that heavy, more than there has been time for yet in the universe. But it's the isotopes that are really important. For anything on Earth, we can do isotopic analysis. And just yesterday, I went to my son's defense of his master's dissertation in geology, and he's now a master's, has his master's degree. Yay!
Congratulations!
Awesome. Thank you. It was amazing. But in his work, it's isotopes are everything. That's how we do all the kind of radiometric dating. There's so many different types of radiometric dating. Carbon-14 dating is the one that everyone knows, but there's lots of different ones for what time range are you looking for, what rocks are involved. And we can do the same thing with the carbon that's in the atmosphere. This is one of the absolute proofs that the additional carbon in the atmosphere comes from humans burning fossil fuel and not from any other source. It's because we can do isotopic analysis of that new additional carbon that wasn't in the atmosphere 100 years ago, because we can go to the ice cores and we can get the sample of the atmosphere and we can look at the carbon that's in that and we can look at it isotopically. We can see what the ratios are of carbon-12, carbon-13, carbon-14. We can do that today and we can see that there's only carbon-12, no 13 or 14, Why? Because that carbon was sequestered deep underground as fossil fuel and did not have the opportunity to be bombarded by solar radiation and cosmic radiation and create these new isotopes of carbon. And so that's an absolute proof that we have that the new carbon in the atmosphere that has taken us to these higher percentages is from humans burning fossil fuel and no other possible source.
Okay.
We have the same impact with if we were to do metallurgical analysis. If someone presented a scrap of metal, they say, "Hey, this is from a UFO." We can look at it and we can say, "Oh yeah, well the aluminum in this came from this part of the Earth," and we can tell what's in that metal, where those elements came from, and if they have some isotopic blend that is not found on Earth, then two things have happened. Either Tony Stark, with his immense wealth, was able to create these new isotopes and blend them all together at some outrageous expense, or they came from somewhere other than the Earth. So isotopic analysis is a tool that we have in our holster that will help us identify extraterrestrial material if it comes to us. We already use this now to look at meteorites that came from Mars or other planets or the moon. We can tell that, oh, this mineral didn't come from Earth, it came from the moon, and we can tell because of this proportion of the different isotopes in it.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not new elements, but it is isotopic. So you were right on track with your question.
Very
Awesome.
cool. That's awesome. I like that. I love learning new shit. That's
I
awesome.
know. I'm learning a lot
That's
tonight.
so great. I'm learning a lot tonight. I
Me
can't
too.
wait till this movie comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it a few times. It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna have to study, kind of.
Yeah.
Everyone
I'm
should
not
watch it
gonna
a few
get it
times and rebuy it every time.
Okay, I'll make Kenny do that. He can
Okay.
expense it.
I mean, shh. Don't say that out loud. But yes, I'm gonna. All right, next question, please. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? Glad you can make it. What if they are ghosts of aliens?
Kenny, I'm going to let you take this one because you're the ghost
Thanks,
expert.
Brian. I appreciate that. Well then, so the problem with ghosts of aliens or humans is that if they don't have to obey physics, they don't have to obey gravity. So I've always said the biggest problem with a ghost is that if they can go through floors, or if they can go through walls but not floors, but if they can go through anything else, then what keeps them anchored to the Earth? They should be floating out in space. There should be no ghosts on the planet. They should be a trail of ghosts, like when a meteor comes through, and just leaves that trail behind
That's
it.
why when a meteor comes through, I think of a trail of ghosts.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
There you go.
Question
Hey,
and
Donna,
answer.
Yeah.
are we pacing ourselves correctly? I want to get at least one question from everyone.
Oh yeah,
before
we're
Yeah,
we run
fine.
out of
good.
time.
Oh yeah,
We're
we're
good. No,
we're
we got
good.
plenty of
Okay,
time.
good.
Yeah,
We
we're
got plenty
good.
of time. All right, moving on.
Here we go.
Bob, was the question of wormholes breached? I can only imagine the amount of physical space that would need to be displaced to make that happen.
One of my astrobiologists was big on that. And she started talking about Dyson spheres. If you can build a sphere around a star and capture all of that star's energy, then you might possibly have enough energy to generate a wormhole, which we know would be enough to maybe send one quark through. To send an entire spaceship through requires such a silly amount of energy, though, that it's not even worth talking about. We could have followed that thread, but really that's something that math makes impractical. And as we make the point in the film also, math here is the same as math anywhere. And if we do these equations and we get these answers, aliens are going to do these same equations and get these same answers. Wormholes really need to be kept in the realm of thought experiments. As far as ever being practical, the energy requirements, require so many quadrillions the times the size of the amount of all the energy that civilization has ever expended. It's kind of silly. So it's a concept that's real. It's worth talking about. It's worth thinking about. But I do not see it ever being a part of this, and so we did not include any discussion of that in the film.
Cool.
It's too far into the realm of science fiction, and even granted, even that would have been a valid point to make, but
Right.
there's just so many directions to go in this. I did not go in that one.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Moving on. Serpent Knight. Does the film address the likelihood of simple alien life versus intelligent life? Fair guess that microscopic
Yes.
ecosystems are far more common in the universe than sapient human level intelligence.
One of my astrobiologists felt that all other life was likely to only be microbial. That is a minority view, and so I did not include that quote in the film, because there was plenty of other stuff to talk about that does represent the consensus, and that's what I tried to stick to. So, yes, we do talk about there's well, I shouldn't say absolutely because that's not true. There is very probably microbial life throughout the galaxy. Very probably even in our own solar system.
Right. Yeah.
As far as intelligent life that is able to interact with its environment and become a technological civilization, of course, that's a much higher bar. From the one example that we have, which is Earth, Earth has life at every imaginable level. And I think, personal opinion, not included in the film, I think that if you've got life on a planet, you're going to have so much life that it's going to hit every possible type of life. Because, to quote Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park,
life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's covered briefly in the film. So
I'm so glad I got that.
It's a good question. It's actually life will find a way, I think.
I'm close enough. I'm good. But yeah, I agree. Like, that's something that's I've always thought about. Like, life is so abundant here. It's everywhere, even where we think that it couldn't possibly exist.
Yeah.
When you have I believe it's the volcanic vents down in the ocean, where we thought nothing could survive. There's life. It's teeming with life.
Yeah.
Yet
it's wild.
Yeah, I mean it's all over, and that's always how I thought we would find it somewhere else, just in another planet, just like this, just with all levels of life going on.
And I think that'll be easy to find, and that's something that, depending on the geophysics of the planet, that's something that may well show up in their biosignatures. And once we get this next generation of space telescopes launched, I guess the current leading candidate is called LUVOIR 2. If anyone wants to Google that, LUVOIR, LUVOIR, LUVOIR 2. That telescope will have the capability to give us spectroscopic spectra of other planets.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
That would be cool. Will be cool.
It will be cool. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, if Congress wanted to pull you in for a congressional hearing, would you go or think it is a waste of time based on how these hearings typically go?
Oh, I would absolutely go. I don't know how much I could add, but if I could add anything at all, I absolutely would do my best. So regardless of what I think of my own ability to be helpful, I know a hell of a lot more about the subject than a lot of those people do who are talking so much about it.
Right.
Yeah.
They have other things to do with their time. I don't. And so I would, yes, I would absolutely do my best to be helpful in that regard.
I'm with you. Like, some of the people that I've seen on some of these task forces are just like, why? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, who do you know? That's what I ask. Like, who do you know that got you onto this task force where you're not qualified to be on?
I know someone who is on one of the task forces, and they told me, I have no idea why. I think they just wanted to add another PhD to their list. Nobody's ever asked me a question or expected anything of me.
Damn. Oh, I guess we can't really get into that. You don't want to call that person out. Okay. All right, good. Moving on. Next question. Oh, Danny Reed, when you get this project done, do you have any ideas about your next project?
Yes.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're not going to tell us?
I'll give you the title. I'll give you the title.
Yeah.
And you can take it from there. The Endarkenment.
The Endarkenment.
The Endarkenment.
Endarkenment. I'm going to write this down so I can look.
I already bought the domain name, Kenny. You're too late.
Damn it! So
The
much.
Endarkenment.
For that. All right. Anything else you can tell us? Any clue? Any teaser? I mean, you gave us a name, which is great, but
No, we haven't even gone into pre-production yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's basically about the dumbing down of America, how it's becoming fashionable to be ignorant, and that's a serious problem.
Whew, well, it's a serious problem, and you definitely have a lot of material.
There's no end to material. I have no idea how we're going to get it all in there.
I'm so glad I'm not of that
Oh my
generation.
goodness!
But yeah,
You have a
and
lot.
that is an official Skeptoid media project. So please,
Oh,
anyone out there,
sweet.
if you are considering supporting well, shoot, I'm on a CFI channel right now, right? I can't really make a competing bid for
Yeah.
donations. But if
We're
you
all
want to
one team.
support two different organizations,
There you go.
consider Skeptoid Media in addition to supporting Center for Inquiry or whatever the heck your name is these days. CFI, CSI, who
Center
knows?
for Inquiry is
You
my
can
main
find us
main
anywhere.
company. And then
Should be
I actually
Psychop.
work for the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. That's
And
my,
there's a third one. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's got so many names I can't keep track.
But as far as I'm concerned, no one's told me different. But as far as I'm concerned, I think we're all on the same team. We're
Yeah,
all
we
trying to
are.
promote the same kind of
I
values.
agree completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So
Yeah.
that's why I try to help out as much as I can. And if I can help or work with other people, I don't care what organization you're with, as long as we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Or
There are people who totally hate me. And I still promote their work because it's good work.
If it's good
And
work,
and
yeah,
it's
it's
on the
good
same
work,
team,
yeah.
that's
and
right.
it's all working toward our same goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I get it. I mean, you're not the only one that people hate.
Oh, really?
I mean, I love posting my hate mail because it's
You'd think that being a science communicator would make you beloved by everyone.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where's my rock star endorsements? You know, like, on TV.
At
and
least
shit.
Monster, for crying out
I
loud.
know.
We
I drink a lot of
we
them.
do keep them in business.
Yeah, I
Like,
think Monster.
It's not
should
even
have-
available right now on Amazon. That's
If-
how many we buy.
If you're watching Monster,
Yes, we need to chat. Okay?
I drink all of your products. Sponsor me. Anyway,
Especially the Ultra Sunrise. Can you put that in
oh my goodness,
production?
here we go. We're getting. Are we good? We out of
Yeah, we have
questions?
all
We
the
are out of questions.
questions.
We're at the end of the show too.
Oh,
that-
wow.
That timed
Okay.
perfectly.
Fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm glad we
So-
were able to hit everything.
Yeah,
So
we got them all.
I know we have briandunning.com. Is that one of your websites?
BrianDunning.com is my personal website.
Personal website.
And that's where you'll find the UFO movie.
Okay.
But
Where
the
else?
shortcut is the UFO.movie.
UFO.movie.
It takes you to that page. Skeptoid.com obviously is my main gig. It's where I work. It's my day job all day, every day. Skeptoid
One more
podcast.
question.
Oh,
Oh,
we
is
got
this
one more question. Your personal
think an
opinion: do you think an intelligent alien civilization lives within the Milky Way, or do you think the closest one lives in a neighboring galaxy?
Oh, same Milky Way. Personal
Oh.
opinion.
Yeah.
There's no data on this. There is no data, so we do not know. But I think once we start pointing a spectrum-capable telescope out at all of these exoplanets, the number of there's a great little video clip in the movie that we don't have, and I can't show it right now. But there's a great clip that NASA produced actually. Some people at JPL put together an animation of all the exoplanets that we know of.
Oh, wow.
It's like the video is about 1 minute long, and so it compresses the entire history of our locating exoplanets into 1 minute, and you just see them start to appear.
Wow.
And by the end of the video, they're appearing so fast you can't even keep track of them anymore. And that's where we are now. There are such an insane number of exoplanets in the Milky Way
Wow.
that I would be stunned if there are not already thousands of exoplanets that we know that exist that have some kind of life.
Yeah. I
So,
looked it up real
yeah.
quick, and it says as of May 24th of 2023, there are 5,382 confirmed exoplanets in
And-
3,974 planetary systems.
Yeah, and a lot of those are, of course, hot Jupiters
Right.
and things like this that cannot sustain life. And so discounting those. But if you look at, there's a fascinating thing that I focus on in the film for just a minute. Kepler was a mission that was a little space telescope that was designed to focus on one direction. It looked at one single spot in the sky for the entirety of its mission. It's kind of funny because at the end of its mission, it lost control and it kind of went flying off. And they called that second part of the mission Kepler 2. Same spacecraft, but no longer controllable what it's looking at.
Right.
But it's still finding planets. But in the Kepler 1 part of the mission, it found just an insane number of exoplanets in this little patch of sky like this. And that's in a gigantic patch of sky that has exoplanets everywhere.
Right.
And even Kepler was not able to resolve the majority of the ones just in its tiny field of view. So that number you mentioned, 5,300 whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's a joke. That's like in our absolute infancy of being able to detect exoplanets. There are so many more than that. I mean, exponentially more. So the idea that there is not intelligent life in this universe, I think, is an indefensible idea. But that's personal opinion, and the movie doesn't go into my personal opinions.
Right.
That's
why we have you here.
That's my personal opinion too. I think it's ridiculous to think that there is not intelligent life out there somewhere. It's gotta be. It's just so freaking big.
And whether we all think it or not, we all hope that it's the case.
Yeah.
And so that's where the common ground is on this subject, and that's why it's easy to make a movie like this that welcomes everyone's point of view, because we start with the common ground.
Yeah.
Right.
And if more science communication in all fields would do that, we'd be in a better place. We all hope that there's a magical way to cure COVID. Okay. That's something we all agree. Well, except for the people who don't think COVID exists. But whether you're an anti-vaxxer or a pro-vaxxer, what is it that we all agree on? We all wish that there was a magically easy way to solve COVID. So you can start from points like that, and you can find common ground on any topic. Right. And you can do effective science communication that way.
That's a good point.
Yep.
I like that. That's a great way to end the show.
Yeah, it is.
So stick around. You did give out the information where people can find you. The UFO movie.
UFO.movie.
.movie. And then BrianDunning.com for your personal thing. But
that's
the
UFO.movie takes you to that website.
Okay.
So it's the UFO.movie and Skeptoid.com, which is my day job, the podcast that Kenny thinks so highly of. He's wearing
I do. I wear the t-shirt just for you. I went home. This wasn't the shirt I had on today.
No.
I went home and
it's not the only color that we have.
Yeah, I do. I have multiple ones. And I have the socks. I have the socks. I have the Skeptoid socks. And I also have the ones with like the Bigfoot and UFO stuff all on them. I have
those are cool.
Yeah. Because I like what you do. So
yeah.
I also have a couple of your books too. I buy a lot of shit.
The library there has all the books.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, downstairs, the library has all the books.
Yeah.
So if anyone in the area wants to come by and read one of his books, two things. One, you can come by and read them. And then second, go buy them yourself. So you have a copy, because you always need a copy.
Yeah, because you have to share it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so stick around.
Grandma don't know podcasts, and they don't know how to listen to them. So you got to give them a physical book.
I can't tell you. I'll tell you later. I got a
story
about
stories
podcasts.
About that.
I'll tell you after the show. But stick around for a second. I'm just going to go through my announcements real quick. My Squid Bob announcements.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Wait, do I have it? Yeah, I do have it. I have. There we go. Squid Game Bob's announcements, because we love Bob.
Squid Game Bob.
So basically, I got a couple. May 31st, I'm going to be doing a webinar with Susan Gerbic and Richard Saunders. I don't know if that's public or not. I'm sure if Susan's still here, she's going to let me know.
Wanted you to tell.
Okay, good, because we're going to do a webinar and talking about doing. I think, I'm not sure, but I think we're doing like how to approach people from different beliefs, and part of it is like when we're doing lectures, if we have someone that is disruptive, how do we handle that? kind of thing. And it's for team building and for groups to actually get lectures out more and how to handle things like that.
Yeah.
So that's May 31st. June 8th, here at the Center for Inquiry in Amherst/Buffalo, New York. We're going to have Melanie Tressick King. She's coming out here with her husband. She's going to stay with us for a couple days, but she's speaking here that night,
live,
June 8th, live,
in person.
Holy crap,
she will be here.
She will be here talking about.
Sometimes you got to say that because you'd be like, now people are like, oh, you're gonna have it on Zoom
or something like that.
Yeah, like she will. You can come out and actually physically see her, even though we will have her on Zoom.
We do Zoom. Yeah. We're still going to be streaming it, but it's much better to actually come out and see everything in person, because not only do we have the lecture that's going on the stage, we'll have Q&A, which is still Zoom, but we're going to have a social hour afterwards. So you'll be here. We can all hang out. You can ask additional questions, have conversations, and we can all hang out. It's really fun. I love the lecture series that we do here, because it's not just a lecture and you go home. You get to hang out and meet other people, meet like-minded people. You get to see all the items I have on display out here in the display cases, which is really important to me, because I got a lot of shit and I want you to see it. And I like talking about it. Oh, Brian will be here. Brian Engler will be here too. That's going to be awesome. June 16th on the Skeptical Help Bar. I actually booked guests in advance, which is never something I do. I don't do this. And Donna's very upset, so I'm going to go through this really quick. Yeah. I'm going to have Ross and Carrie on from Oh No, Ross and Carrie podcast. Both of them will be on, and this is the first time I'm going to get to talk to Carrie, so I'm really excited about this. So that will be June 16th.
So pissed off.
I know you're upset.
I think you really should reschedule. I think that if Ross hears this, he would reschedule for me.
We're going to move on. June 24th is the summer solstice party that we're going to have here at CFI in Buffalo. Actually,
Donna, I heard how rudely he cut you off right there.
I know, he does it all the time, Brian. Okay. It's a wonder I'm still here.
Brian. We're going to have the summer solstice party out here. It's actually going to be out here on the patio, which is outside these windows. We're going to be grilling stuff. I think there's a fee. If you look online, you'll be able to sign up for the event. It's going to be really cool. It's an all-day kind of affair, and I can't wait. What else do I have? July 14th to 16th, I'll be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. It's a paranormal-themed conference that helps kids with cancer and veterans. Yeah, Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors. I'll be down there hanging out. Donna will be down there hanging out. We're just going to hang out. August 14th to like the 21st-ish.
Brian's falling asleep.
I will be out in Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. I will be doing lectures for a few things. I'll be visiting Brian Dunning in person, which is going to be awesome. I hope you have good bars around you.
Oh, please.
Yes. No, we've got you well covered. I've got the agenda all lined up.
Good. All right. We're going to be doing that. I'm looking forward to that.
Guys
because
be getting
we're
in trouble.
Out there. We're going to visit some of our CFI branches and our associates or affiliates, and I'm going to be talking to them about solving mysteries and how I go about doing that. September 16th is the Mothman Festival. We're going to be down there in West Virginia, probably seeing Daniel Reed and maybe Tim Vickers. Should have called it Summer Barbecue Solstice. Shut up, Bob. October 26th to 29th, we will be in Las Vegas, Nevada for SciCon this year. I'll be doing a workshop, which is awesome because workshops on Thursday. I get to do my workshop. I'll be working throughout the conference because I am CFI staff, so I'll be working, but I'll still be enjoying it. And there's going to be a lot of speakers. I saw the speaker lineup. I can't tell you yet because I'm not allowed, but it's awesome.
Should be out soon, right?
When it should be out soon.
Do they know the date yet?
Yeah. November 3rd to 5th is Para-Unity Expo in Woodbridge, New Jersey. I'll be there, set up with my Skeptical Help booth, answering questions and giving out information about critical thinking and scientific method and solving mysteries. So that's it. That's it for me. Everyone, thank you. Thank you, Brian Dunning, for joining us tonight and talking about your movie, promoting it.
Yeah,
And,
we're all excited.
yeah, I'm really excited, and everyone in
too.
the chat room is very excited.
Yeah,
so,
I think everybody's ready.
yeah,
We
get
should
that,
definitely-
get that shit
I'm-
out.
Praying this is the last round of QC.
Good, good. We're gonna
Uh,
have a watching party here.
everyone, and thank you for hanging out for a Friday night with us.
Yeah,
Just
especially
chilling.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, it's a long weekend, so we had a lot of people join us tonight, which is really good. I love seeing that. But end of the show. Have a great weekend, and remember, never stop learning. And I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.